I knew something was wrong the second I opened the door. The apartment was too quiet. Not the peaceful quiet of nap time, but the hollow quiet of absence. Patrick's shoes weren't by the door. His jacket wasn't on the hook. The air didn't smell like the cologne I'd bought him for Christmas. Then I saw them. Screenshots spread across the kitchen table like evidence in a courtroom. My messages to Edward, the flirty ones, the explicit ones, the ones planning our next hookup while Patrick watched my daughter. Next to them, his apartment key. Nothing else. No note, no explanation. Just proof of what I'd done and a piece of metal that used to mean home. I stood there for 10 minutes, maybe 20, reading my own words. Can't wait to see you tonight. Patrick's taking Emma to the movies. Wear that shirt I like. Each message another nail in the coffin of my relationship. My name is Brittany, and I'm 28 years old. 3 hours ago, I lost the best man I'll ever have because I couldn't stop sabotaging my own happiness. 3 hours ago, my daughter lost the only father figure who ever gave a damn about her. 3 hours ago, I became exactly what my mother always said I'd be. A fuck-up who ruins everything good in her life. But to understand how I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me, you need to understand where I came from. I got pregnant at 22. Edward wasn't the father. That honor belonged to Derek, my high school boyfriend who stuck around just long enough to sign the birth certificate before disappearing into a haze of weed smoke and empty promises. He surfaces every few months, takes Emma to McDonald's, posts a selfie captioned "Daddy's Girl," then vanishes again until guilt or his mother makes him remember he has a kid. Derek was supposed to be different. Captain of the basketball team, full ride to state college. Then he blew out his knee sophomore year, dropped out, and never recovered. Now he stocks shelves at Walmart when he can pass a drug test, couch surfs with whoever will have him, and tells people he's between opportunities. By 25, I was drowning. Waiting tables at a diner off the interstate, the kind where truckers left phone numbers with their tips and the coffee was always burnt. Living in a studio apartment where Emma slept in a pack-and-play because I couldn't afford a crib. Showering at the gym because the apartment's water heater worked maybe twice a week. My sister Kayla would help when she could, but she had her own demons. Coke, Molly, whatever her roommates were selling that week. Still, she was family, and family was all I had. Mom had written me off when I got pregnant. Just like I was at your age, she'd said. Like it was a curse passed down through generations. Then I met Patrick, 6'2" of genuine kindness wrapped in a IT consultant's body. He came into the restaurant where I worked, left a 40% tip, and came back every Tuesday for a month before finally asking me out. I remember everything about that first time. He ordered the turkey club, no tomato, sweet potato fries. Read an actual book while he ate. Who does that anymore? When I refilled his coffee, he looked up and smiled like I was the first person he'd seen all day. Long day? I asked, because making small talk meant better tips. Getting better, he said, and something about the way he said it made me blush under the fluorescent lights. He came back the next Tuesday, and the next. Always the same order, always that book, always that smile that made my shitty polyester uniform feel less like a costume. You ever finish that book? I asked on his fourth visit. I did, he said. Started a new one. Want to borrow the first when I'm done? Nobody had offered to lend me a book since high school. The night he finally asked me out, I was covered in syrup from a kid who'd thrown his pancakes. My feet hurt, and I'd made exactly $37 in tips over 8 hours. I can't, I told him. I have a daughter. I waited for the look, the polite smile and excuse, the check request that always followed that revelation. So bring her, he said, like it was nothing, like dating a single mom was just another Tuesday for him. Our first date was at a park, Emma on the swings, Patrick pushing her higher while she squealed with joy. I sat on a bench, watching this stranger treat my daughter better than her own father ever had, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Higher, Emma demanded, her little voice carrying across the playground. How high? Patrick asked. To the clouds? To the moon. Moon it is, he said, and pushed her gently higher, making rocket ship sounds that had her giggling uncontrollably. When she finally tired out, he bought us ice cream from a truck, remembered Emma was lactose intolerant without me having to remind him because I'd mentioned it once, casually, the week before. Got her the dairy-free orange popsicle without making it seem like a big deal. Patrick didn't just date me. He dated us. He learned Emma's favorite Disney movies, memorized her bedtime routine, kept fruit snacks in his car for her. When she got sick, he stayed up all night with me, making runs to CVS for medicine, holding her while she cried. The first time Emma had a nightmare at his place, maybe 3 months in, she padded out to the living room where we were watching a movie. "I had a bad dream," she whispered, tears on her cheeks. Without hesitation, Patrick paused the movie and opened his arms. "Come here, sweetheart. Want to tell us about it?" She crawled into his lap like she'd been doing it her whole life, and I watched this man I barely knew comfort my daughter better than I could. "You don't have to do this," I told him once at 3 a.m., Emma finally asleep in his arms after a stomach bug that had her throwing up every hour. "I want to," he said simply. "I love her. I love both of you." And God help me, I believed him. Within a year, he'd changed his entire life for us. Got a better paying job that meant longer hours, but also meant we could move to a 2-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood with good schools. He co-signed the lease, paid most of the rent, never complained when I could only contribute a few $100s here and there. The day we moved in, he carried Emma on his shoulders through every room, letting her decide where her toys would go, which wall would have her princess decals. "This is our home?" she asked, like she couldn't believe it. "This is our home," he confirmed, and I had to turn away so they wouldn't see me cry. He made us a family. Real family dinners every night at a table he'd assembled himself because I mentioned once that I'd always wanted a proper dining table. Bedtime stories where he did all the voices, gruff for the bears, squeaky for the mice, booming for the giants. Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, Emma on his shoulders, me holding his hand like we were normal people with normal lives. He bought her a bike for her 5th birthday, spent hours teaching her to ride it in the parking lot behind our building. When she finally got it, wobbling down the asphalt with him jogging beside her, she yelled, "Look, Daddy Patrick, I'm doing it!" Daddy Patrick, not just Patrick anymore, Daddy Patrick. He looked at me then, this question in his eyes, like, "Is this okay?" I nodded, crying again, because what else could I do? He'd earned it. He'd earned it 100 times over. I should have been grateful. I should have been faithful. I should have been a lot of things. But sometimes Patrick's perfect world felt suffocating, like the night he watched me getting ready to visit Kayla and said, "Maybe you should limit Emma's exposure to that environment." He said it gently, like he was protecting her, protecting us. But what I heard was, "Your family is toxic, your past is shameful. You need to be saved from yourself." "That environment is my sister," I said. "I know, babe. I just worry about the influence." Sauce. He didn't finish, but he didn't need to. The influence of people like me, people who didn't go to farmers markets or read bedtime stories or make homemade mac and cheese. People who got high and made bad choices and lived in the margins. People I used to be. Still was, underneath the costume of domesticity. But there was Edward. Edward lived with my sister and 3 other guys in a house that always smelled like weed and bad decisions. One of those guys you knew in high school who never grew up. Still wore the same band t-shirts, still drove the same shitty Honda with the rattling muffler, still thought he was going to make it big with his music. He'd been the bad boy every girl wanted back then. Played guitar in a band called Toxic Aftermath, got suspended for smoking behind the gym, had that dangerous smile that made good girls want to be bad. Now he was 28, working part-time at Guitar Center, selling weed to make rent, still talking about his band's big break that was always just 1 gig away. I'd known Edward since middle school. He was there through my parents' divorce, through Derek leaving, through all of it. And when Patrick encouraged me to reconnect with Kayla, Family's important, babe. You should work things out. Edward was part of the package. Patrick drove me to Kayla's that first time. Wanted to walk me to the door like a gentleman. It's fine, I said quickly. It's just my sister. But I knew Edward would be there. Knew he'd make some comment about my sugar daddy or my meal ticket. Knew Patrick would see right through him, see the loser he was, wonder why I'd ever associated with people like that. Your new dude seems cool, Edward said when I walked in alone. Real provider type? He said it like an insult, like being responsible was something to mock. He's amazing, I said, meaning it. Yeah? Edward's hand brushed mine as he passed me a beer. Good for you, Britt. You deserve that. But the way he said it, the way his eyes lingered on my legs in the dress Patrick had bought me, told a different story. I should have seen it coming, should have recognized the pattern. I always wanted what I couldn't have, always destroyed what I did have. My therapist, the one I saw twice before deciding I couldn't afford it, called it self-sabotage rooted in abandonment issues. I called it being a piece of shit. It started with texts. Edward being Edward, funny, inappropriate, nostalgic, reminding me of who I used to be before I became someone's mother, someone's girlfriend, before I became responsible. Remember that time we got drunk and skinny dipped in Miller's Pond? That was you and Kayla, I'd text back, even though I remembered. Even though I'd been there, 17, and reckless, and free. Nah, you were there. You were wearing that red bikini, or not wearing it, I guess. The water was freezing, I admitted, giving him an inch. You didn't seem to mind, neither did I. I should have stopped responding, should have blocked his number, should have told Patrick. Instead, I told Patrick I was hanging out with Kayla more. Sister bonding, working through our issues. He was so proud of me for doing the work to repair my relationships. Take your time, he'd say, kissing me goodbye. Emma and I will have daddy-daughter time. Daddy-daughter time. Like he was her real father. Like he'd earned that title by showing up every day for 3 years, while Derek couldn't be bothered to remember her birthday. They'd build elaborate Lego castles while I was gone, have dance parties in the living room, make cookies that were always slightly burnt because Patrick couldn't bake to save his life, but tried anyway because Emma asked. The first time I fucked Edward, I was supposedly at girls' night with Kayla. Patrick had made Emma's favorite mac and cheese from scratch. Not the box kind, but real cheese sauce because he'd read that processed foods weren't good for growing kids. Built a pillow fort in the living room, sent me pictures of them watching Moana for the 100th time. My girls having fun? His text said, with a photo of Emma grinning, gap-toothed, holding a stuffed pua. I sent back heart emojis from Edward's bed, still naked, still smelling like his cheap cologne and my bad decisions. This is fucked up, Edward said after, passing me his vape. Then why are we doing it? Because you're bored, he said, reading me like he always had. Because that dude's too good for you and you know it. Because you're still Brittany from the block, not some soccer mom in a 2-bedroom apartment. Fuck you, I said, but without heat because he was right. You just did, he smirked. And you'll be back. Girls like you always come back to guys like me. It's evolution or some shit. He was right about that too. I came back the next week. And the week after. Each time swearing it was the last. Each time hating myself more. Each time coming home to find Patrick had done something else perfect. Fixed Emma's broken toy, taught her to tie her shoes, made her lunch for school with a note that said, "Have a great day, princess," with a smiley face. Patrick was too good for me. Too good for the girl who'd gotten pregnant at 22, who'd waited tables and lived off tips and food stamps. Too good for someone whose sister dealt drugs and whose baby daddy was a deadbeat. But instead of trying to deserve him, I proved him right. The affair, if you can call sneaking around with your sister's roommate an affair, lasted 2 months. 2 months of lying about where I was. 2 months of deleting texts. 2 months of coming home to Patrick, reading Emma bedtime stories, and hating myself for not hating what I was doing. The camping trip was Patrick's idea. Memorial Day weekend. Just the three of us. He'd researched kid-friendly campgrounds, bought Emma her own sleeping bag with princesses on it, planned s'mores and hiking and all the wholesome family shit that made me feel like more of a fraud. He'd spent weeks preparing, showing Emma pictures of the campground, teaching her camp songs, buying her a tiny flashlight that projected stars on the tent ceiling. The night before we left, I found him in her room, helping her pack her own little backpack. "Don't forget Mr. Bunny," he reminded her. "He'll want to see the stars, too." "Do you think we'll see bears?" Emma asked, equal parts excited and terrified. "Only if we're very lucky," Patrick said. "But don't worry, Daddy will protect you." Daddy will protect you. From bears, from bad dreams, from everything. Except from me. I was in the bathroom, trying to wash the guilt off my face, when he must have looked at my phone. I'd gotten careless, stopped deleting everything. Or maybe I wanted to get caught. Maybe I was tired of pretending to be someone I wasn't. The messages were all there. Edward asking when I could sneak away again. Me complaining about having to go camping, calling it boring family shit. Him offering to make it worth the wait when I got back. 3 months of lies, right there in blue and white bubbles. When I came out, he was pushing Emma on the campground swings, same as that first date. But something in his shoulders, the set of his jaw. I knew he knew. And he still pushed my daughter on those swings, still made her laugh, still gave her the rest of the weekend, even though I'd just destroyed his world. That's the kind of man Patrick is. The kind who wouldn't ruin a little girl's camping trip just because her mother was trash. He didn't hold my hand on the hike back. Always before, he'd help me over fallen logs, steady me on steep parts. Now he focused entirely on Emma, pointing out birds, helping her collect pine cones. When I stumbled, he didn't notice, or pretended not to. At dinner, he sat across from me instead of beside me, still smiled when Emma told her rambling stories about butterflies, still helped her roast the perfect marshmallow. But his eyes never found mine, not once. That night in the tent, he put Emma's sleeping bag between us. "She might get scared," he explained to her. "Better if you're in the middle." But Emma never got scared when Patrick was there. He was scared. Scared to be near me. Scared to pretend everything was fine when we both knew it was over. When he read her bedtime story, his voice was different. Still doing the voices, still patient with her requests to read it again, but mechanical somehow, like he was already practicing being gone. When we got home, he was different. Distant, but not cruel, going through the motions. He still made Emma breakfast, still walked her to the bus stop, still helped with her homework. But he wouldn't look at me. Not really. His eyes would slide past me like I was furniture. Sunday night, he tucked Emma in like always. I heard him through the door, reading her favorite book, doing all the voices. When he came out, he closed her door so gently it barely made a sound. "We need to talk," I started. "No," he said simply. "We don't." Monday morning, he left for work like normal. Kissed Emma goodbye, told her to have a good day at school. Looked right through me as he grabbed his coffee. I told myself I was imagining it, that my guilt was making me paranoid. Then I came home to the screenshots. No dramatic confrontation, no yelling, no throwing my stuff on the lawn. Just evidence and absence. Patrick had ghosted me with surgical precision, removing himself from our lives like excising a tumor. I called 17 times in the first hour, texted until my fingers cramped, called again. His number was disconnected by dinner time. His family's numbers blocked me. Our mutual friends, his friends really, who'd tolerated me because they loved him, wouldn't answer. I drove to his work the next morning. Emma at school. Desperation making me crazy. The security guard said he'd given notice. Was already gone. His LinkedIn said Los Angeles. 3,000 miles away. 3,000 miles. He'd planned this. While I was sneaking around with Edward, Patrick was planning his escape, updating his resume, interviewing for jobs, finding an apartment, all while still being the perfect father to my daughter. "Where's Daddy Patrick?" Emma asked that night, clutching the stuffed elephant he'd won her at the fair. "He had to go away for work," I lied. "When's he coming back?" "I don't know, baby. Tomorrow? Maybe not tomorrow? But soon." Never. He was never coming back, because I'd made sure of that. Derek picked Emma up the next day. For once, he showed up on time, probably because Patrick had called him, told him what I'd done, warned him to watch out for his daughter since her mother couldn't be trusted. "Patrick says he's sorry," Derek told me, not meeting my eyes. Even Derek, who'd abandoned us, who'd chosen drugs over his daughter, looked at me with disgust. "Said he left something for Emma. It's in her backpack." A letter. Not for me. I didn't deserve that. For her. Written in his neat handwriting on his company stationery. Probably the last thing he did at that job before leaving for California. "Dear Princess Emma, I have to go away for work, but I want you to know that none of this is your fault. You are the smartest, bravest, most wonderful little girl in the world, and I'm so lucky I got to be your Daddy Patrick for a while. Remember, you are special. You are loved. You can do anything you set your mind to. Keep being kind. Keep being curious. Keep being you." I'll always remember our daddy-daughter time. Every story, every bike ride, every burnt cookie we made together. You made every day an adventure. Take care of Mr. Bunny. Take care of Mommy. Take care of yourself. All my love, Daddy Patrick. P.S. I hid a surprise in your closet. Ask Mommy to help you find it. The surprise was a wooden jewelry box he'd been making in his friend's workshop. Purple, her favorite color, with Emma carved on top in swooping letters. Inside, a silver necklace with a star pendant. The note tucked beneath it said simply, "For my star, shine bright." I sobbed until I threw up. The rent's due in a week. I can't afford this place on my own. Patrick paid through the lease, 3 more months. But after that, we're gone. Back to studios and pack-and-plays, and deciding between groceries and electricity. Edward texted once. "Heard what happened. Sorry, Britt." Not sorry enough to stop it. Not sorry enough to say no when I showed up at his door in a sundress Patrick bought me. Not sorry enough to be anything more than what he'd always been. Available and easy and ultimately worthless. "You could move in here," he offered a week later, high and generous with other people's space. Kayla wouldn't mind, could save on rent. Move into a drug house with my 5-year-old daughter. Let her sleep on a moldy couch while people partied in the next room. That's what Edward thought I deserved. That's what I'd thrown Patrick away for. "You'll find someone else," Kayla says, like Patrick was replaceable. Like men who love other people's children grow on trees. Like anyone else would look at me. Single mom, cheater, destroyer of good things, and see potential instead of problems. "He was boring anyway," she adds, cutting lines on her coffee table while Emma colors in the next room. "All that family shit. You're 28, not 40. You should be having fun." Fun. Like fucking Edward in his twin bed while his roommate played video games on the other side of the wall. Like sneaking around and lying and becoming someone I swore I'd never be. Like watching my daughter set a place for Patrick at dinner every night, waiting for someone who's never coming back. Emma still asks for him, still sets a place for him at dinner, still wants to show him the pictures she draws at daycare. I tell her he's working, he's busy, he'll visit soon. Lies stacked on lies. Because how do you tell a 5-year-old that Mommy destroyed the best thing in their lives? You don't. You just add it to the pile of ways you've failed her. I kept the screenshots. I don't know why. Maybe to remind myself what I threw away. Maybe to punish myself with evidence of who I really am. Not the woman Patrick tried to make me believe I could be, but the one who was always there underneath. Selfish, destructive, exactly like my mother said. Edward asked if I wanted to make it official now that Patrick was gone. I laughed until I cried, then cried until I couldn't breathe. Make what official? The way I'd ruined my daughter's chance at a father figure? The way I'd driven away the only man who'd ever loved me for more than just sex? The way I'd proven that you can take the girl out of the trailer park, but you can't take the trailer park out of the girl? We're good together, he insisted, like 3 months of sneaking around qualified as a relationship. We get each other. Get the fuck out, I told him. Brit, out. He left, but not before reminding me that I knew where to find him when I got over myself. That's Edward, always there, always available, always worthless. A safety net made of holes. Patrick's gone, living his best life in LA, probably dating someone who deserves him. Someone without baggage or baby daddies or sisters who deal coke. Someone who won't fuck her high school hookup just because she's bored and self-destructive. Last week, Emma's teacher called. She's been acting out, not listening. Drawing pictures of 3 people and then scribbling out the tall one. Has there been any changes at home? She asked delicately. Her father figure left, I said, choking on the words. Oh, I'm sorry, divorce is hard on children. We weren't married, I admitted. He just left. The silence on the other end said everything. And me? I'm exactly where I deserve to be. Alone except for a daughter who'll grow up watching me make the same mistakes my mother made. Dating men who won't stay, who won't love her like Patrick did, who won't build pillow forts or know that she likes her sandwiches cut in triangles, not squares. The apartment still smells like him sometimes. His cologne caught in the curtains, his shampoo lingering in the bathroom. Emma sleeps with the elephant he won her, whispers secrets to it like maybe Patrick can hear her wherever he is. Maybe he can. Maybe he thinks about us sometimes, wonders if Emma still loves Moana, if she started kindergarten okay, if she remembers him. I hope he doesn't. I hope he forgot us the second he crossed the California state line. I hope he finds someone worthy of him, has babies who look like him, builds the family he tried to build with us. He deserves that. He deserves everything. All I deserve is the echo of his absence and the knowledge that I had everything and threw it away for nothing. The key's still on my nightstand. I should throw it away, but I can't. It's all I have left of the life we almost had, the family we almost were, the woman I almost became. Almost. That's my whole life in one word. Almost good enough. Almost smart enough. Almost worth loving. But almost doesn't pay the rent. Almost doesn't make Emma stop asking for her daddy Patrick. Almost doesn't turn back time to that moment when I could have said no to Edward, could have blocked his number, could have chosen the man who chose us. Yesterday I found Emma in her closet, wearing the star necklace, talking to Mr. Bunny. Daddy Patrick said he'd protect us from bears, she was saying. But he's not here, so you have to do it, okay? I slid down the wall and cried silently while my daughter appointed a stuffed rabbit as her protector, because I'd driven away the man who'd promised to keep her safe. Mom called last week. First time in months. Heard your man left, she said, satisfaction dripping through the phone. Told you, men like that don't stay with girls like us. She was wrong. Men like Patrick do stay. They work doubles to pay rent. They teach your kid to ride a bike. They make burnt cookies and read bedtime stories and love children that aren't even theirs. They stay until you give them a reason to leave. Until you prove you're exactly who they hoped you weren't. But Emma doesn't have to be like us. Tomorrow I'm calling Derek. Really calling, not just texting. Asking him to step up, to be the father he should have been. Because maybe if she has one stable parent, she won't end up like me. Maybe she'll believe she deserves the Patricks of the world, not the Edwards. Maybe she'll be better than almost. That's all I can give her now. The hope that she'll learn from my mistakes instead of repeating them. That she'll remember Daddy Patrick and know that good men exist, even if her mother couldn't keep one. It's not enough, but it's all I have left. That and a key to a life I threw away for a man who isn't worth the dirt on Patrick's shoes.